Hey everyone, welcome back to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today I am joined by a very special returning guest. Hello, Dedra.
Hi. So nice to be back.
So nice to have you back. I love it. I love your energy.
Thank you, sweetie.
So if you guys remember, I interviewed Dedra just about a year ago because she had just talked about amazing new books that she'd written. She also has a best-selling cookbook as well for Ramadan. So I have the pleasure of inviting Dedra back to the show to talk about her most recent award-winning book, The Buchanan Bastard.
Yay, thank you. Such a pleasure to be here to talk about that.
Awesome. So you know the drill, Dedra. Please tell me your story. Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, as a writer, those of you who do any sort of artistic activities, sort of creative endeavors, you know that there's one thing that's very constant. You can't stop. You just can't. I mean, you're never actually done. There's always another story when this story closes. You're always going to think of something new because this is how we express ourselves. And I think it's incredibly important, not only just to us personally, psychologically, professionally, but it's also important for society, to allow people to do this, to express themselves creatively, because our works leave behind fingerprints of a culture, later on for future generations to kind of understand the mindset of people at the time. That's why cultural endeavors are so important, like theater, dance, song, writing. I mean, it's incredibly important to leave behind these markers, to help people understand where our hearts were at, and I have to say, I have always really held New Orleans in high regard. The new book, The Buchanan Bastard, I'll show it to you here. That's an amazing, exciting cover. Look at that. That's right down the street where the Mardi Gras parade, wanders down every single year during Mardi Gras, and they throw the beads to the onlookers, and it's just a huge party, a fantastic celebration of life every single year. Mardi Gras is special. It's incredibly special. And my husband and I went on our honeymoon to New Orleans.
No way.
Oh yeah. So it's a special place for me anyway. And I've always found it kind of magical in a way because it's a city of contrasts, because on the surface it's this fantastic, family place where you can go see parades and you can have street foods and, like corn dogs and fried Oreos and things like that, and enjoy the carnival kind of activities that are going on during Mardi Gras. But there's a dark underbelly to the city as well. I mean, there's a lot going on under the shadows, and I thought it was really worth exploring. It might be a really great setting for a murder mystery. And that's exactly what it proved to be.
Okay, so Buchanan Bastard is a murder mystery.
It is a murder mystery. Well, it's a murder mystery, a whodunit that turns into a full-on crime thriller because it unfolds as something a lot more complex than just a simple double homicide. It unfolds into international espionage, and it also has ties to the Middle East, if you can believe that. So can't really say much more there because that would mean spoilers, and we're definitely not doing that. But I mean, if you can imagine, this story hits so many markers. It's double homicide. It's a person wrongfully accused of the murders. It's someone fighting for their innocence. There's Russian mafia. There's Russian spies. And then there are Bedouins, involved in the same story, as well as the gravesite of a voodoo priestess. So what does all that have in common? find out by ordering the Buchanan Bastard.
That's
It's a roller
amazing.
coaster ride. It really is. I can guarantee you a trip down, it will never be boring, not for one single second. Everyone who's reading it has told me that, and the reviews are just starting to pour in, and it's gotten to be #1 sales status in Amazon now, US, Amazon Kindle. So yes.
That's amazing. Honestly, congratulations.
Thank
That sounds like
you.
it sounds like it's a book for everyone, right? Like everyone can somehow enjoy the book, whether it's like different cultures, whether it's like a whodunit, like you said, even like double homicide. That's like incredible. But I mean, having to read a book like that must have been an incredible experience in itself. What do you feel were kind of the challenges or kind of the unexpected twists and turns of writing this book?
Okay, making something plausible. I mean, you have to always make sure that a story seems plausible, because I'm talking about writing a story that involves a murder that has been covered up
Right.
also. I mean, let's just put it this way. The way that the two people who were murdered appeared to be murdered wasn't the actual way they died. So
Mm,
that's all I'm going to say. There's a little clue there, but that took some research to work that out.
I see.
I mean, you should see my search history. I mean, an author's
A little bit dangerous.
an author's search history is a very dodgy thing. I mean, when you research ways to poison, ways to shoot, the kinds of guns that were used by people in the 1970s, by the police in the 1970s. Right, exactly. Assault weapons, that sort of thing. I'm like, I sure hope nobody's like watching my stuff, because they might
They don't
think
want to get any
something
wrong
really
ideas.
wrong about me.
Yeah.
That's not true. I'm just a writer, I swear.
Wow, that's crazy. So
So the
knowing that
research
you
a lot.
no, I mean the fact that you were able to search all these things. I mean, there's delete the cookies and delete the history for a reason, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
so what would you say was the most memorable moment for you in writing this book?
Oh, well, you know what? In every really great book, there's a great loss of somebody very important. I'm
Mm,
not going to say who, but there's always, I mean, if you really think about it, even in films and great books, great stories, someone very important needs to meet a very horrible end. And it's always painful when that happens. And, it hurts you too, as the writer. You don't want
of
to kill
course.
the character. You really don't, but they have to for the greater good. I mean, they have to be, it's a power that we have, but we don't like using, but at the end of the day, you end up with a story that will get the tears, that will get the heartwarming feeling, though, at the same time, knowing that everyone will now be okay. Everyone will go on to have a bright future, maybe because of this person's sacrifice.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's hard. That's always a memorable moment, to come through that. But after, I mean, in terms of, as an author, now that's in terms of the writing. A memorable moment as the author would have to be the launch party. The launch party was the most wonderful thing. I was so excited. We actually collaborated with My Maximus, which is a center for special needs adults in Dubai, and they teach vocational skills to adults with all kinds of learning disabilities. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful place. So I was very happy that they offered to give me the venue, to have the launch there, because at the same time I could be promoting my book, I could also sort of promote them.
Of course.
And it was great to draw some attention to a place like that, because as you know, I have a son with autism, and it's the kind of cause that's really near and dear to my heart. So it meant a lot, to be able to shine, a light there as well. So, and they were great. They were so great. The kids sang, they had
Oh,
Mardi Gras decorations everywhere. There was masks and everything and the beads, and there was a Mardi Gras cake, and it was just so cool. It was all so well done, and it was packed. It was just packed with people. So it was a great event. Probably the best book launch I have ever had. So I'm never going to forget that. Of
wait,
course,
remind me
till the
how
next
many
one
books
comes
you've written?
along. Sorry.
Remind me how many books you've written?
Well, this would be the ninth.
Oh my God. You're going to double digits now, Dedra. That's where we have a problem.
Well, I've already got an idea actually for number 10. It's been brewing, during Ramadan now.
How do you do it?
There's something about fasting, I think, that clears the
Seriously.
mind, it's like clears the chakras, right? Exactly. But
That's
I think I'm going
insane.
to go back to something a little more supernatural, for the next one.
I
Yeah, I can
see.
feel it coming.
You can feel it
There's a
brewing.
supernatural novel. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, as somebody who has literally dipped their toe in every type of kind of I think you've done like horror, you've done supernatural, you've now done like homicide. I know you've done cooking. So as somebody who is as accomplished as yourself, as like an award-winning, author, screenwriter, all of the above, basically. What advice would you give to aspiring young authors who are looking to kind of, put words to paper?
Okay. I can tell you one thing. Everybody can write, all right? Just like everybody can run. You can run, but you can't run a marathon unless you train, right? So I think you have to look at writing as the same thing. You can't just say, I'm just going to sit down and write a book because, yeah, sure, you probably can. I'm not saying you can't. I think everybody probably has the ability to do it, but not everyone has the discipline to do it.
Mm,
So you really have to set your mind to have the discipline it needs, to do that. I mean, a ballerina, everybody's seen that poster, with the ballerina's feet, right? That not everyone wants to soar as an artist, but not everyone wants to give everything that it takes, and it shows the ballerina's foot and one side has the beautiful slipper, but if you see underneath her beautiful slipper, she's got, toes that are sore and bandages all over her feet where they've taken such a beating from all the practice.
yeah.
Writing is the same. I mean, you're going to go through a lot of drafts. You're going to go through a lot of crumbled papers on the floor. You're going to, you're going to go through a lot of ideas that you thought were great, but they turned out to be, not so awesome. They're not going to go anywhere. But the nice thing is that if you keep on plugging away, you keep on putting yourself in your writing environment every day, and you keep journaling. I mean, I strongly recommend journaling. Write down your thoughts just all the time. Keep a record of what you're thinking about because you never know what kind of idea could crop up just from ordinary everyday things, even objects in your house.
Mm,
I mean, have you ever looked at a perfume bottle and thought, okay, maybe it could be a vessel for something, ooh, a vessel for what? I mean, maybe it could be an ancient bottle, that has been, just gifted to you by a mysterious relative that you don't know. See,
I
there's a
love where your train
mystery
of thought
brewing
goes.
there, you know? Exactly. You spin it. You keep spinning those ideas more and more and more. And you know what it goes back to as well? It goes back to the time when we were all 6 years old. Did you know that when you're 6 years old, your creative level is like full on? You're like a battery that's at 100% power when you're six. You can imagine anything is true. You can, imagine a bicycle is like a horse that you're galloping on, through the forest, or, the monkey bars, you're climbing up a mountain and you're going over a lava stream. And, I mean, you can imagine there's pterodactyls over you that are about to
Oh,
bite you or grab you, and you're dodging them at the same time, I mean, you're full on,
yeah.
imagination. key to being a good writer is to tap into that power once again, to tap into that power you had when you were 6, that it was
Right.
full on. And before things like school and family and the rules of society told you that
Adulting.
those were childish behaviors that you had to stop,
Mm,
they didn't realize that you actually have a superpower at that age, and that kind of thing not should never be just squelched out completely, but actually nourished and encouraged along with fitting into society. You shouldn't like say goodbye completely to that side
mhm.
of you. That's a little advice for parents as well. I think that you should always encourage creativity from the very beginning. Never let it completely go away, because you never know what that child could grow up to be.
I
What
love
could they
that.
grow up to invent or think of, you
That's
know?
amazing. No, that is so true, because it's not just about kind of, it's part of the whole nurturing process. So you're not just thinking, okay, go to school, do your homework, be a good kid. It's about, how are you different? How are you exploring the untapped parts of yourself that actually could be of use to you? So if you liked, to play around and dance when you're a kid, you might grow up to be like a professional choreographer. You might enjoy dancing as like
Good.
self-expression, as exercise. You never know. But I love the fact that you're not just sticking to like what this means for you as an author, but you're also thinking about how you are continuing to unleash your creativity, and also teaching kids how to follow that lead. So that's incredible. I
Thank
love
you.
I love the way that you think, and I'm sure everyone is super excited to read your book now. So for everybody listening, it's The Buchanan Bastard. You can find it on Amazon. Show them the book again, because it's a pretty cover.
Absolutely, because it
There we
is an
go.
awesome
We love it.
cover.
We love it.
And guess what? It's also available as a hardcover too. Let me show you that one. And see this beautiful hardcover
Ooh,
edition?
that is
Wow,
very
that's a
pretty.
really nice one.
That's
It's
shiny. It's
it's
like
got a
Harry
really
Potter.
nice line. Yeah, and that one will last like years and years on your bookshelf.
That's
So it might
awesome.
be worth the extra, just to have that. But, we've got the paperback, and there's also an ebook available too. So if you want to be environmental, you can go that way also.
That's
So
amazing. Well, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you today, Dedra, about all of this. I am sure that all my
yeah.
listeners are super excited to read your book, and can't wait for the next one.
Thank you. It will be coming very soon.
Very soon. Thanks, Dedra. Thanks, guys. Take
Thank
care.
you, lovely.
Bye.